Hello everyone, this is Sweet Lou Jeff Luzatter with another edition of Southport Cardinal Chalk Talk. And today we're with both soccer coaches, both boys and girls. Girls coach Dan McLaughlin and boys coach Josh Brown. Gentlemen, coaches, I really appreciate your time here today. Just want to spend a little time and talk a little bit about your teams. So let's start ladies first. Dan, we talked off camera. I had statistics wrong. You had 3 seniors, you got 5, but you got a lot more underclassmen on your team this year than you've had in the past. How do you handle that as a coach coming into a new season? I know either one of you, I don't think, has played a game yet, so you will be soon. But
actually, we played last night.
Okay.
We were fortunate. We were successful against Heron High School. We won 6-1.
Well, congratulations on the first win. You can't win them all unless you win the first one.
That's
Dan,
right.
So,
there you go.
Anyway, didn't want to interrupt you there, but talk a little bit about your expectations for having such a young squad.
The thing is, we don't have a lot of seniors, but the seniors we got are really good leaders. And I think Josh would agree with that. If you don't have senior leadership on your team, you're going to struggle. And so the seniors we've got are really good leaders. Erin Sullivan has been our leading scorer her first 3 years playing soccer. She is one of our captains. Junior Emily Chambers is our other captain, and they're giving us great leadership. But Mildred Delgado and Macy Judd and Zen Moy and Michaela Carroll all bring good leadership to the table. And they know they are like most female athletes, they are driven by relationships, and so they want the team to be successful. That's the first thing is them. So when a younger girl steps in and plays, and maybe they don't, no problems. They accept that because the team is what's important to them. So, I mean, like last night, we started 2 freshmen.
And is that, in your coaching experience, is that kind of unheard of?
No, not at all. Not on the girls' side. A little bit rarer on the guys' side. With female soccer players, a lot of times their best 2 athletic years will be their freshman, sophomore years. And both of these young ladies are really good athletes, and one of them is just a really, really good soccer player. In fact, Kendall Henderson had 2 of our 6 goals last night, our freshman. She's our only multiple goal scorer. And our other girl is a young lady named Ari Walker, and she starts at right back for us. And she is probably the strongest kid on the team. She's a tremendous athlete. So,
well, looking at the girls' schedule here, and I always ask people about, obviously Perry Meridian, big rivalry, but besides that, who else on this schedule here you think would be a tough match for you?
Well, Perry will be a tough match. Roncalli will definitely be a tough match. Those are both kind of rivalry games for us. They're both located in Perry Township, so those are games we'd love to win. Columbus North is always good, and Franklin Central's always been good, and Decatur Central's put up a couple impressive scores so far. The Perry and Roncalli games, if we only won those 2 games and lost the rest, it would be a somewhat successful season if we could do that. Right. So, yeah.
Well, let's swing over here to Josh. Talk a little bit about the boys' side here, Josh. I think you've got a little bit more experience than on your side than Dan, but as I mentioned off camera, you've got a lot of players that a lot of foreign players, and talk a little bit about the 16 campaign for you.
It'll be interesting for us. We graduated 13 players last year, but we have 8 seniors this year, and this is the first year I've ever had as many. We usually have a pretty even mix, and we're pretty heavy in freshmen and sophomores this year. So I'm really happy with our youth. Our freshmen and sophomores are really, really good. I'm excited for what we have coming up. For us, it's going to be interesting because we graduated 53 of our 58 goals. So finding goals for us will be interesting. We did play Tuesday against Greenwood. We won 4-0, and the 4 goals we scored were very creative team type goals. That's how we're going to be this year. We're going to be a team that wins as a team. We don't have that one player who's going to take over as we've had in the past. So this will be a team effort from all parts of the field.
Now I've questioned both of you, and I've got, or questioned you separately, but I'd like to throw some things out here, see if you've got a few opinions. And again, I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but classes. Dan, do you feel like there needs to be more classes in soccer rather than just 2?
I really don't feel strongly either way. You know, the good thing about having more classes, you have more state champions.
Right.
But we're always going to be in the top class. We're always going to be in the class with Carmel and Noblesville and Hamilton Southeastern and Brebeuf and Center Grove and those types of schools. So from that standpoint, don't really have a strong opinion either way.
How about you?
On the boys' side, I think the girls' side is similar. We're going to 3 classes next year instead of 2, and the kind of feeling among coaches I've talked to is it's the lower class is going to be a class for private schools. I mean, and you know, once they win, they'll kind of move up. But it's been interesting. If you look at soccer across the last few years, even when we had one class, the same few schools were always there. Now that we have 2, it's the same schools, just in different classes. So soccer is a sport that, at least on the boys' side, it's socioeconomics for the ones that actually come out ahead.
Right.
I mean, I don't think we've ever had a state champion or state semifinalist that's been a free reduced lunch school.
Right.
It just doesn't happen.
Always wanted to ask a soccer coach because it's kind of related to my favorite sport, baseball. Grass or artificial surface?
Again, if it's a good grass field, that would be what I prefer. If it's a good turf field, I would take that any day over a grass field that's not very good. The new technology they have in the turf and stuff like that, like the turf we have in our football stadium, it's an awful lot like playing on grass. So as they make more and more strides, I think we'll see more and more turf. I think when you do the cost analysis of it, the turf actually, I mean, it's a huge initial investment, but there really is not a whole lot of upkeep involved. So, yeah.
Josh?
I agree with you. It kind of depends on the surface. I mean, a beautiful grass field, that's nice and that's great to play on. They're not all turfs the same. Ron Colley's turf is fairly old, and so playing on that, it's not. I mean, there's cracks in the field, there's cracks in the turf. It's kind of dangerous at times, and it's a very quick surface. They do have some synthetic soccer fields that they actually make a thicker, longer blade, so it actually feels just like grass. And actually, we played on some of those at the club level. There's benefits to both. I mean, a week like this week, turf would be very nice. We could be out there all the time playing on practice on it. But I'm old school. I prefer grass because that's what we've played on for decades. And
right.
The turf's nice. And if we had turf fields we could be on at all times, my team would be very, very good on it.
Right.
But it's something that we don't get to be on enough to make it as effective as it could be.
Right. Another question regarding your players. Not so much publicity with soccer players, but wrestlers. Hey, you got to watch what you eat, or you're going to go up and wrestle in another class. Can you guys kind of just tell us a little bit about what you tell your players before the season and during the season, as far as nutrition, stuff like that during the soccer season?
With the girls, probably what I talk about and the rest of the coaches talk more about with anything else is to stay hydrated. And we do talk to them about nutrition and having a balanced thing, balanced meals and that type of thing. And after you play, you should eat a certain thing. But I would say dehydration is a chronic problem with most soccer players. I'm not just female, but probably a little more severe with female soccer players. And the health risk over a period of time of not hydrating correctly and staying that way. I mean, they've done some studies, and it's amazing what staying hydrated will do for your health. So hydration is the main thing that we talk to them about.
How about you, John?
I'm the same way. I mean, all my players have a water bottle I've given them. And I tell them to drink 2 or 3 water bottles a day of water, especially on the days like a couple days ago. I mean, yesterday was really hot for practice. We have a game today, so dehydration is not that nutrition is not important, but with our sport and the time that we play our games at 5 o'clock at night, and that's usually the hottest part of the day. Practice is really hot. Dehydration is a big issue. We talk with nutrition with my players. A lot of their socioeconomics doesn't afford them the ability to choose a lot of what they get to eat. That's kind of what's available, or the lunch here at school, or what's available at home. So we talk about some balance and what's good and what's not the good. With my guys, it's not eating crap before a game. That's the of course. We go to a game and they want to go to the Kentucky Stadium, like, no, we're not eating
No
now.
Skittles.
No Skittles, no walking tacos
Right.
before we go play a game. But I agree with Dan that hydration is the biggest thing that we battle. I make my players go take a drink in practice, and some of them don't want to. Like, you need to go take a drink. Like, they don't quite understand how big a deal it is.
One last question here. There's been a lot of focus, especially in the NFL, regarding concussions, and then kind of secondary with soccer, which I never even thought about. But I'm sure the IHSAA has got pamphlets and they've got flyers and all kinds of communication to you coaches regarding concussions. Again, I'm not a soccer person. Has somebody, or maybe you can kind of relate a little bit about soccer injuries in your sport? And it's obviously the head shot and all that stuff. Do you have that very often on the girls' side?
At one point in time last season, we had 5 girls out with concussions. So yes, we do have it.
It's probably the most common injury.
Yeah. Probably has become our most common injury. For a long time, knees for female athletes, soccer players were really something that happened a lot, and they've come up with some exercise programs that strengthen the female athletes so that is less likely. So we don't see nearly as many knee injuries as we used to. Ankles is a constant problem. Actually have the girls on Fridays, we lift weights, and then one of the teachers here at school, Miss Pierce, takes a girl through a yoga session. And the yoga is really good for strengthening, but it also helps with the balance, and I think my son, who's a boys coach at Center Grove, did that with his high school boys last year. And he attributes part of them winning the state championship that because they were completely healthy when they entered the state tournament. And not very many teams can say that, so, yeah.
Well, last thing for you, Josh, on that same subject, because I brought up injuries and stuff like that, and then he got off. Dan got off talking about some other things that they do. I was talking to the cross country coach today, and of course, 40 years ago when I ran cross country, practice was just get the miles in, get the miles in, get the miles in. Mm-hmm. But now here it is, 2016, and one day he's got them in the weight room, another day he's got them in the swimming pool. As far as the sport of soccer, and especially on the boys' side, what do you do besides getting on the field in practice and actually, shots on goal and actually get some kind of scrimmage? What do you guys do off-site of the soccer field to help improve
we
your
hit the
team
weight
as a
room
player?
for sure. We're in the weight room once twice a week, depending on what we got going on that week. It's sometimes hard with all the sports we have, trying to squeeze everyone in. But we're in the weight room. I mean, year round actually, not just during the season. One thing I'll say about our training sessions that I think are a little bit different than most sports is we only go about 90 minutes. And it's because, like, even during our warm-up, we don't do like static stretching. It's all moving. We don't stand and stretch at all. And I think that, that's something that's kind of an anti-American mindset. Because you look at, it's just what we've been told for decades. And soccer's a little bit different sport anyway, but we don't condition in practice. We don't run, because it's all done inside our activities. And so I think that a few years ago we had a lot of injuries. A few years ago it was like we were practicing with 11 players out of our 18. So I did some research on some things, and FIFA came up with some warm-ups, like Dan said, that kind of help reduce injuries, and I've adapted that from some other things I've taken from coaches at IU, and outside of little next to the ankle things, and concussions you can't do much about, but we've been fairly healthy, and I attribute that a lot to being in the weight room, getting stronger, and just the way we warm up and play. It's just a better training environment than what we've had in the past.
Yeah. Guys, I really appreciate your time. Best of luck during the season. I know you got a young team, Dan, so get out there and go get them, and I'm sure you'll reap some benefits down the road.
This is probably the best girls soccer team that Southport High School's ever had.
Oh, really?
This will probably be the first Southport girls soccer team that's ever had a winning record in 30 years. Wow. Yeah. Wow. This group of young ladies has a chance to make history. And how often in our lives do we have that opportunity?
Fantastic. Thanks a lot for your time. You too, Josh. Sweet Lou, Jeff Luzatter for another edition of Southport Cardinal Chalk Talk. I've been talking to Dan McLaughlin, girls soccer coach, and also the boys coach, Josh Brown. For Sweet Lou, Jeff Luzatter saying so long, everyone, and thanks for watching.